Good morning. This is Mark Burgess with the Illinois Department of Commerce, Office of Employment Training. Thank you for joining this week's WIOA Wednesday webinar. I hope we have a few more joining us as we get going here, but we'll get started anyhow. Just normal housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please pose them in the chat box on your far left. The PowerPoint that you see in front of you is available for download in the bottom left-hand corner in the Files pod. You can open it up and download it and print it off if you want to follow along that way. And it will be available. As always, we will record this along with the document and post it on the Illinois WorkNet website, and Chelsea will be able to provide us that link later on. What we're doing here today is going over our new policy portal. Everyone's been familiar with what we've had for, 8 or 9 years now, where all of our policies that have been issued through the Office of Employment and Training have been housed, allowing for search and identification of various policies, notices, and even technical assistance letters. So we've been developing a new system, and we're calling it an ePolicy manual because it is going to look like a manual. And so we want to make sure everyone understands what we have out there now. So we've developed a new system to be consistent with today's technology, so you'll be able to view it all on your laptops, your tablets, your cell phones, any other devices. We've organized them differently where everything will be showing up in chapters. So things that relate to governance will be in their chapter. Things that relate to training options will be in its own chapter of program services. And Chelsea will be providing a lot of detail of this as she goes through the actual policy portal itself. But just wanted to give you a little bit of background. We've broken those chapters down a little bit further. The top 4 chapters really relate to things that affect the system. So governance is one of the examples for that. And then the others that affect only the Title 1B program will be from chapters 5 on. We've organized them into smaller sections within each chapter. This way it directs you to a specific guidance that you might be looking for instead of a long, lengthy document. Some of our policies now, as a single document, are 20 to 25 pages long, and maybe all you're looking for is one small requirement within that policy letter. So this way you'll be able to go to that specific area of policy. So, we're no longer actually using policy letter as a term because these don't show up as letters. These show up as policy guidance in smaller forms. And then finally, it allows for easier revisions so that if we do have only one minor change that needs to be made, we don't have to go through the whole process of reworking the entire document and reissuing it. We can go directly into that particular item and change it, and you'll get notifications. And again, we'll talk about that later, how you'll know when something is updated. Some basic changes have had to be made in order to get this, this crossover, I guess, from the old system to the new system. We've gone through and taken the liberty of just changing certain things. WIA and Workforce Investment Act has been replaced by WIOA and Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. The old policies that we had still had some references to maybe even IDES when we were housed there, and Department of Commerce and Community Affairs. And DCEO, we've replaced those with departments. So going forward, hopefully we don't have to worry about any additional changes that might be prompted from our move here at DCO if they were to happen. Not saying that's in any works or anything, but just want to make sure we don't have to change simple things like that. We do still have to identify that Office of Employment and Training, OET, is where we're housed and where we initiate these policies and send them out to you. And so some of those old policies had Bureau of Workforce Development or BOWD, so we've made that change to OET. We've tried to make this more consistent to really who the policy should be addressed to. Many times the department is not the right entity to address a policy to. It's our particular office. We've changed the words and acronyms from investment and development to innovation. I know I've seen a couple people log in under LWDA. And just to remind everyone, when WIOA came out, they utilized the term local workforce development areas. In Illinois, for various reasons, the state board and the interagency team decided to make the change to local workforce innovation areas and boards, and that kept the acronym at LWIA and LWIB. So you should take that into consideration and maybe refer to those acronyms and terms rather than utilizing development. We've also had some staff here who you are familiar with that used to be called regional workforce representatives that appeared in some policies, so we've changed that within those areas to workforce development specialists. That's where a lot of our titles are now. Any references to the WIA Act and final rules have been revised to reflect where they are found now in WIOA and the final rules. And then finally, to help through that, we have a crosswalk, and Chelsea will identify that during her walkthrough of the site, but we try to make it a little bit easier for you to find what used to be under WIA policy and what is under WIOA policy in the new ePolicy portal. Some of the other changes that have occurred, as I mentioned, we've broken these things into chapters and sections, and then beyond that they become subsections or paragraphs. But really you start at the chapter level to find out what the large area of concern is. Then you can break that down into the section. There'll be chapter overviews, so you'll be sure to know that you're getting in the right area. In some cases, what we did in all these policies is take what currently exists and basically copy and paste it into the new system and make those kind of revisions that I've mentioned. And in many cases, there were empty bulleted points. So we had to fill those in so you didn't open up a blank page in the ePolicy. So we've added some basic section information, and basically it's an introduction. So that might be a change to what you might have currently printed off or saved as a PDF on a current policy letter, where you go to the new ePolicy and say, well, that didn't exist. Well, we had to, again, make that connection. So we've outlined some basic 1, 2, 3 sentences that says the following paragraphs apply to this and that. So you'll see a little bit of addition for that reason. We've removed a lot of sections that appear currently in those policy letters because we have no need for them in an ePolicy format. There will no longer be purpose or issuance is affected or a background section. Now, issuance affected, you will have the ability to find out what references and other documents apply to a particular policy area, and Chelsea will go over that again in her presentation, but it's not appearing in the actual text of policy anymore. Contact individuals where we could, we've removed them. We've had a lot of change here at the Office of Employment and Training, and so in order to not have confusion as to who you should be contacting for a particular area of policy, we've removed those so that in the future we can make a simple change to name in a contact area that is available on ePolicy, and you can be able to find the current person and not be contacting someone that has since retired or moved on to another area of their career. We've removed the action required. Now that if it was necessary to actually have some kind of formal guidance provided that was found in actions required section, we've incorporated within the policy. And then finally, going back to the contacts, if there's an area that says inquiries should be directed to somebody, in most cases we remove that area because, again, we want you to use the contact information, and there's a section to the right of the ePolicy that will be identified to help you find who the individual here at the Office of Employment and Training is that you should contact for a particular area. And finally, there are going to be some documents, policies, notices, and TAILs. TAILs are acronym for Technical Assistance and Information Letters that we haven't issued for probably 10 years that still existed out there. Many of these are very out of date. They don't apply to WIOA. Some of them maybe not even apply to WIA, but they were never removed. So we've kind of meticulously gone through each of those and made sure that we're going to get rid of those that no longer apply, so you don't have to weed through things that aren't even accurate anymore. So we're going to be sending out a notice shortly in the next few days or weeks identifying a list of those that are going to be rescinded based on our identification of that need. The site creation's gone through various phases. It's been many months of hard work. I want to make sure I thank the proper individuals that have helped in this. The Illinois workNet staff, especially Chelsea Jones and Eric, have spent hours and hours of work. Jeannie Kitchens has provided us with an awful lot of resources to make this happen. And we've had numerous meetings and calls and emails back and forth to try to get this to the position it is today, and we hope as close as possible to a final document or final portal that we can get to. We've had local input. In the months past, we've asked some local staff to take a look at this and see what they think, provide us some input. And then finally here at the Office of Employment and Training, we've been going through all of the policy, and we've asked where things still exist and where they shouldn't. I want to thank Beverly Miller for the amount of hours she's put in. It's incredible the amount of time it's taken to get to this point even. But we probably still have some more changes. So my final comment before I turn it over to Chelsea is that we need you to go out to this new site and use it in the next few days and couple of weeks. We need to get some input back as to what your concerns are. Is it usable? Is it user-friendly? Are there issues? Are you finding glitches that you can't do something you want to do? We need that input because within the next couple of weeks, the old site's going to be gone. That whole system has to be taken down. It's an old, antiquated system, and we need to get rid of it. And so we don't want to get rid of it if this system that we're going to, the ePolicy portal, is not truly functioning to the needs of all of us. So if we don't get any replies from you, any comments, we're going to assume everything's working well, and we're going to take that old site down altogether, and it won't be available, and we won't be able to go back to it, is what I'm saying. We have it kind of in the background right now, and we know we have some glitches in the background that hopefully won't be apparent to you, the user, but we want to make sure that those that are apparent to you and the usability of this system works to your satisfaction. And so please give us that input. Chelsea will give you the link or the email that you should send those to. They'll be shared with Illinois WorkNet staff as well as us here to review them and make the necessary changes after we consider them. So with that, Chelsea, I want to turn it over to you to go through the portal. And again, thank you so much for all the time you've put in to getting this to happen today. I guess the final comment is this is up and running today. So if you have a linked favorite to the old portal and you clicked on it, you're going to go to this portal. What you're going to see from Chelsea, you're going to go to it already. So you may have already seen this a little bit if you've tried to access policy in the last day or two. You've also maybe got some automated responses from the system that indicated some changes were being made. Those were kind of our final changes we had to make in order to get to today. So you can kind of ignore what you've received in the last couple of days. Nothing substantial has occurred that you need to be aware of. But going forward, these changes you will want to make note of because they will be, formal changes within the system. All right, Chelsea, thank you, and run with it.
Thanks, Mark. Morning, everyone. Like Mark said, Chelsea Jones with Illinois WorkNet, in case you missed that. And I went ahead and shared my screen, obviously because I'm going to be doing the screen share, but I wanted to start off from the WIOA Works website just so I can show you the steps that you can take to access the site after today's webinar. If you have it bookmarked already, like Mark indicated, you can go to that bookmark and it's going to take you directly to the new site. But if you come to the WIOA Works site, we have a link in the menu under WIOA Resources that links to the WIOA ePolicy manual. So if you click that link in the menu, you're automatically going to be redirected to the new site. And this is what it looks like if you haven't seen it yet. We have a separate menu here specifically for the WIOA policy site. And so you'll notice that this menu is different than the WIOA Works menu. So that's how you'll know you're on WIOA policy, and the logo says WIOA Works ePolicy. So on the landing page, we have a overview text right here giving you a little background. And then right below that, we have the ePolicy chapters and sections. So like Mark indicated, we're now identifying policy by chapter, and then within that chapter, it has sections. So for example, Chapter 1 is governance, and then when I click that arrow, it's going to open up that chapter specific on governance, and it's going to have subsections, so 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. And then some of these sections are going to have subsections. And so while there are sections, they're all related to the chapter level governance. And so this is the entire tree or table of contents, whichever word you want to use, to all of the policy in the system. So I'm going to close Chapter 1. Maybe you're looking specifically for Administration and Financial Management, which is Chapter 8. You can click open that, and you're going to see the sections. Again, subsections, subsections. All of these link directly to the policy. Before I go and click on a specific policy, though, I want to review the other tabs here at the top. So these different tabs are ways you can access the same policy. So ePolicy chapters and sections, what we just looked at is the tree. If you want a different view, maybe you want to see it in alphabetical order, all of the policy. I went ahead and clicked on the A through Z tab. Now that took me to all of the policy in title order, A through Z, and then you also get the chapter and section number here in front of it, so you're never losing that information. It's always here as well. So if there's something specific you're looking for, maybe you want to look for something under L, you can click that letter and you're going to get all of the policy under or starting with the word or letter L. Or maybe you're looking for something under P. So this is just another view for you to be able to find what you're looking for. The next tab is the archive. So right now you'll see it says no results found for your criteria. That's because nothing in the new system has been archived by rescission or expiration. So this is going to remain empty until something in the system is archived by rescission or expiration. We do want to point out that you do have the ability to view the pre-ePolicy manual archive. So all of the materials that were archived on the old system that were rescinded or expired have been uploaded to the new system. You'll see it's loading. It will take a minute or two to load because there are 242 entries into the system. So these are all of the expired or rescinded materials from the old WIOA policy system. You'll see you have the effective date, the rescinded or expired date, the policy title, and any attachments that were related to that policy, and you do have the ability to search. So we just wanted to make sure you did know that this is available in the system if you need it. So I'm going to go ahead and click back to Policy Archive. And again, once we have some archive on here, you'll see those listed and you'll be able to search by title, start, and end date. And then the last tab on here is giving you the ability to print policy. So if you want to print a specific section of policy, for example, maybe you're interested in Chapter 1.2, CEO Functions and Agreement. So what you'll be able to do is click that little mark, and it's going to select any sections under that check mark. I'm going to close the menu, and you'll see it's pulling all of that information in here with giving you the ability to print using the print button. So I clicked that. I'm in Google Chrome just for everyone's reference. This is how it looks in Chrome when you click print. And you can see it's printing the policy title, all of the information, and the policy text. And then you can see it also is printing Chapter 1, Section 2.1 because that was also selected. Now I'm not going to click print since I'm in the middle of a webinar, so I'm going to click cancel. And you have the ability to print everything if you need to. Maybe you need to print the entire ePolicy manual, Chapter 1 through Chapter 11 and all the sections. You have the ability to do that. When you have either the option to select all, which is going to select everything, or you can do it chapter by chapter. If you select Chapter 1, it's going to select all of the sections under Chapter 1. And if I hide the menu, you'll see all of that is now listed out below. And when I click print, it's going to print 47 pages of text. And so that is all of Chapter 1. You also have the ability to print only the table of contents. So maybe you just need to see, what all of the chapters are called. So if you click Print Table of Contents Only, our view is going to switch to just showing all of the chapters and sections. So you can see it's all open, it's all displayed. And when you click Print, you're getting just the table of contents, which is all of the policy in the system and its title and its chapter level, so 3.2, 3.2.1. And so that would be giving you the ability to print just that information if you need it. Now with that, I just want to say what Mark already said, reiterate, please add any questions you have in the chat pod as I'm going through this. You don't have to wait till the end. We're going to address questions as we go that come in, so we can address it on the screen that the question was related to. With that, I'm going to go ahead and click on ePolicy chapters and sections again, and I'm going to go to a policy so you can see what it looks like now.
Hey, Chelsea, I just want to remind everyone that they can print all that not only to a printer but to a PDF. So if you want to save that to your hard drive and not print all those pages off, you can do the same, go through the same process. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can go through
you are.
Yeah, you can go through the same process, make a PDF of it, save it to your computer, and not print it out and put it in some manual sitting on your, on your bookcase or something, which allows you then to save it to your computer and add it to a laptop, add it to a USB drive to take with you somewhere, give it to somebody else that's looking for it that needs it. So if you're not familiar with how to print the PDFs, please consult with other staff to learn how to do that, because that will save you from all that paper printing if there's no need to really kill all the trees.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Mark. I completely forgot. So I'm in Google Chrome. I went ahead and went back to print, and I selected Chapter 1.2 again. And then when I click Print, I have the ability to change my destination. So right now it's my printer in my office, but I can click Save as a PDF and click Save, and it's going to ask me to save it in my network, and then I'll be able to access it anytime, send it to someone, and like Mark said, indicated, put it on a laptop, do anything I need to do with the PDF. So that's a very good point. So any of this you can print to paper or print to PDF. And all browsers do have that ability. So whether you use Internet Explorer or Firefox or Chrome or Safari, you do have the ability to change to save as a PDF rather than actually printing.
You mentioned all the different types of browsers, and especially those of you that use something unique other than Internet Explorer, we want you to go out there and utilize the site to make sure that everything that they've done in the background is going to work on all these different browsers. We don't have access to some of those, so I know Chelsea and them, they do have multiple access and have tried to work through everything on each of them, but there again may be some glitches in a particular server that we aren't aware of, and so only by you utilizing this at the staff level in local areas will we maybe catch some of the areas that aren't working as well as we wanted them to.
Definitely. Thanks, Mark. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Chapter 1, Governance, so you can get a look at what the actual policy looks like. So now we're on Chapter 1, Governance. You can see we actually have the policy text right here on the page. And as we go through, you'll notice the right area here where it says Resources and it's blue, that's going to change because at the chapter level, we're only pulling in resources. So Chapter 1, the effective date, the expiration date is continuing, the last revision date, the status, and the version number. So this is version 1. All of the policy is going to be version 1. And then all of the text for that policy. You also have the ability to print each policy one at a time as well. So if you're on a specific policy and you decide, I need to print this to reference it later or save it as a PDF, you can click that button and you're going to get the same screen that you got on the print page. So you'll notice that we're trying to be cohesive and consistent with what we're using, so it's easy for you to get the hang of things, and we're not changing it a lot. So once you see it one time, it will be the same the next time you see it. You also have the ability to flip through the ePolicy manual using the left and right arrows at the bottom of the screen. So we want you to think of this as an ebook or an ePolicy manual. You have the left and right arrows at the bottom that are literally going to take you policy by policy. You can see I clicked on the right arrow, and now we're in Chapter 1, Section 1. And you can see our blue area on the right here has changed. And then if I click the arrow again, it's going to take me to the next policy, which is Chapter 1, Section 2. And so you have that left and right arrow, or we have our table of contents on the left as well. So if you click that table of contents, you're going to get that pop out. And it is also going to allow you to jump somewhere specifically if you want. So maybe you're done with Chapter 1, maybe you want to go to Chapter 4. You can click open this menu, open Chapter 4, and then navigate wherever you want by clicking on the policy title itself. I'm going to go ahead and close that just so I can go over what you're seeing on the screen here. I'm going to click right one more time just so I can get a policy that had an attachment. So now we're on Chapter 1, Section 2.1. We still have the effective date, the last revised date, the status, the version, and now we also have something called a tag. So a tag is a keyword that has been associated with this policy, and this one is CEO agreement. And if you click on this tag, it's going to take you to our search page and show you anything that has been tagged with CEO agreement. That includes any documents or policy itself that has that tag. Now I'm going to go ahead and click back. So under the tags, we get into the actual policy content. And you'll see some of these words are orange and have a little eye icon next to them. Those are our glossary terms. So if you hover over any of these that are orange, you're going to get a pop-up that shows the definition of that glossary term. So if there's something you're not sure what it means or you're just curious what the definition is, you can hover over it and you're going to get that glossary definition that's in the system.
Yeah, if I can jump in for a second. This has been a real troubling area of us to update, especially since some of these are very basic. And honestly, if you, as you're using this, find that it's a little bit, kind of overwhelming, the amount of these that show up, and you don't think there's a real need for us that everybody in our workforce system should know what WIOA means or LWIA means, give us a little feedback that says, I think we can get rid of some of those maybe. And as we update things, we won't be able to go through the whole manual and update it at one time. But, as we make updates, maybe we can remove something. But some of them are words as part of terms, and so you might find something like if workforce is a word we wanted to define in a particular policy, well, then we also have local workforce innovation areas. So the word workforce shows up there. We had to go through and manually remove that because the system isn't intuitive enough to know that we don't want workforce to show up as part of a term. So if you see those, and want to point that out to us, that maybe we missed one of those, again, this just kind of give you an idea of the amount of time it's taken to get to this point in going through and identifying all of these. On each page is an individual kind of its own review that we have to do to get to this point.
The other items I want to point out on the actual policy pages, now that we've covered the glossary, are the related materials and these additional icons right here. So the related materials you're going to see in this right area on every policy page. We have resources, policy/references, attachments, forms, instructions, and templates, notices, and contacts. So you'll see each one of these has a little number behind it. So depending on the amount of items that are in each one is going to be the number that shows. So for example, there are 0 notices, so that's why it says 0. There's 1 contact and 1 form. So each one of these has something in it or it won't, and you'll be able to identify that before you even click on anything. Now some of these items are going to be downloadable. The attachments, the forms, instructions, and templates, the notices, these are going to be items that are PDFs or Excel documents or Word documents that you're going to want to download. You have a couple different ways of doing that. The first one, if you know you want to download all of the attachments or materials with a policy, is this button here. This is a Download All Files button. When you click this button, I'm in Chrome, so it opened up here at the bottom. It downloaded everything into a zipped file. So the 2 downloadable documents you can now see in my pop-up window of my downloads file. It automatically downloaded both of those files, and all I had to do was click one button that downloaded everything at once. Now, maybe you don't need everything. You only want the template or the checklist. If you click on it in the right, First off, you're going to get a pop-up window that shows you a preview of the document. This pop-up window just provides you the ability to preview the document before you download it to ensure that it's what you're looking for. And maybe you'll look at it and say, yeah, actually that's not what I want. And maybe it's the template you're looking for rather than the checklist. Instead of closing this box, you'll see we have a left and a right arrow. This gives you the ability to scroll through all of the documents that are related to this specific policy. So I clicked the right arrow, and now you can see I'm looking at the CEO agreement template document. Maybe this is what I wanted. So if this is what I wanted, I now have the ability to click the download file icon, which is right next to the document title. It looks like a little arrow pointing down. This is giving you the ability to download just that one file. So in Chrome, it's going to show up at the bottom of your browser. So you can see that it's now downloaded. And if I click on it, it's going to open. And I now have, let me pull it over to the screen, the template that I just viewed in Microsoft Word so I can do whatever I need to do with it. Once you're done with that, you can click the X, and it's going to close the previewer. And then in addition to those downloadable materials, the resources, these are links to additional outside resources. So USDOL ETA advisories, USDOL Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act regulations and information. So if you click on any of these, they're going to open that link in a new tab. So you're not losing your spot in the policy system. You're just getting taken to an additional resource for policy. The second one here is policy slash references. So these are two areas that are in reference to the current policy that we're looking at. And then the last one we haven't looked at yet is contacts. So the contacts for the Chapter 1, Section 2.1 is Laura Dom, who is with the Department of Commerce. You can see that this is a clickable link. When I click on this link, it's going to automatically use the default email system for my computer, and it pulled in Laura's email and Lisa Jones, who is the additional contact for that policy, and it's going to put that in the fields already, so I can just put in my subject, type up my email, and click Send to Laura. And so every one of these policies is going to have a contact identified that you can email. And then we already covered this, but this is, again, the print icon. So if you want to print this page either to a piece of paper or to a PDF, you have that ability. And then once you're done, you can, yes?
Yeah, while you're on a page, is it possible to print, like you hover over one of the glossary terms and say, I want to print one of those for whatever reason. Is that printable? Or do we have to go to a glossaries page to print it?
You'll actually have to go to the glossary page and print.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
when you print these, it's not going to print the orange or the icon. So if you want to print a glossary definition, we do in the menu have a glossary page, which I will go to when I get to that in the menu. But you'd want to go there and print. So once you're done with this policy, you can either continue to click through one by one, or if, again, you know exactly where you want to go in the system or in the ePolicy manual, you would click on that from the left menu, and you're going to be able to click on it and go directly there. So now I'm in Chapter 6, Section 1.1, which is Adult and Dislocated Worker Allocations. You can see the page looks exactly the same. We have the chapter, section, effective date, revision date, status, version, tags, all of our glossary terms, and all of our materials on the right here. And you can see this one has 2 notices attached to it. So these will work the same as the other 2 from before. You're going to get a preview of the document if you would like it before you download it or print it.
Okay,
so
yeah, just for clarification, WIA notices or WIOA notices, they were in the old system part of the entire, table of contents of all policies. We have not included those within the text of ePolicy. They are now attachments to the area of ePolicy that they relate to. And many of those notices, and in some cases the attachments and forms and instructions may have a connection to multiple areas of ePolicy, so you'll be able to see those when you go to all those areas. You'll still be able to download it. It won't be connected only at one point, and you wouldn't necessarily know that it has a connection in multiple areas. So when you search through this, don't think you're going to be able to find a WIA notice in the text of the ePolicy. Chelsea will get to where you can find those if you need a particular notice and are having trouble finding the related policy.
Thanks, Mark. So now that we've reviewed the actual policy pages itself and the materials on the right and the menus, I want to go through a couple of different or additional resources you have on the WIOA Works ePolicy site. So I went ahead and clicked on the menu in the upper left corner. So I do want to point out that this site, like Mark indicated at the beginning, is responsive to the device you're using. So I'm on my computer at work, so I'm on a desktop. But if you're on your phone, I'm going to go ahead and make my screen a little smaller. You'll see now our menu from the left has located itself to the bottom. So maybe you're on your phone or a tablet. Your menu is going to still be accessible, but now it's going to be at the bottom of your screen. So you'll notice as the different devices you use, it'll work on everything you have. The view just might be a little different. So you still have the ability to download items and print items, depending on what you're using. But you also have this sticky menu at the bottom that's always going to be there, so you can still access the different chapters of the policy, ePolicy manual and the related materials for each one. So I wanted to point that out before I moved on, just to show you the mobile view versus the desktop view. So in the menu, we already reviewed policy chapters and sections A through Z, the archive, and the printing page. These were all linked on the home page, so we've already reviewed all of those. The next page in the menu is the contacts page. So this is exactly how it sounds. It has all of the contact information for all of the contacts identified for WIOA ePolicy. So you can see when you come to the page, all of the contacts are listed out already. If there's someone you're specifically looking for, you can type in a name. Maybe I'm looking for Mark's contact information. I'm going to type in Burgess and click search, and it's going to bring up any person with the name Burgess on the system. Once I'm done with Mark and I want to see everyone else, I can click Show All Contacts, and it's going to take me back to everyone. Maybe you don't know who you're looking for, but you know you're looking for someone who knows about budgets. So if you type in budget and click search, you're going to get the person who's been identified with that keyword, which is an assignment area. I'm going to click Show All Contacts again. So for each contact, you'll have their name, their email address, any additional contacts that need to be notified when this person is emailed, the policy areas that person has been associated with. So for example, Mike Baker is the contact for all of these policies. And if you wanted to, you could click on this link and go directly to that policy. And he has been assigned these different areas. So grants, incumbent worker, local plans, MOUs, one-stop, all of these are areas that Mike Baker works on. And then additional contact information, which includes phone numbers, the organization or agency that this contact works for, and the address. So each one of our contacts on this page has all of that information for them. You'll see some of them don't have the policy areas option because they have yet to be added as a contact to policy. So for example, if we added Paula as a contact for one of the policies today, when you come to this page, it's going to then show policy areas. You're going to be able to click open and see what she's associated with. So each one of our contacts has this information available. And again, if I click on the email address here, if you have a native email browser on your computer, it's automatically going to put that email in the to column, and then the copied person, which are the additional contacts, and then you can add your subject, type out your email, and click send. And so that is the contacts page. The next area in the menu is our timeline and follow. So this is how you're going to be able to find out what's been changed within the WIOA ePolicy manual. So right now you'll see that all of these are version 1, they're current. So this has all of the current policy in the system with the date that it was entered into this new system. So you'll see some of them are, say, 8/30/2016, and some of them have September. So this is as they've been entered into the system. That's what that date is. has the chapter section, the version, the title, the status, and comment. What comment means is if maybe Chapter 5 gets an update and it becomes version 2 instead of version 1, we have to add a comment to what changed. So maybe we removed an attachment or we completely changed the policy content. We're going to have to type that in so you know exactly what changed between version 1 and version 2, so you don't have to try and compare each version side by side. So this is what Mark or Beverly would be adding into the system as a comment when they make a change to a policy. You also have the ability to search, maybe you're looking for program. I'm just going to put in the word program, and I click search, and it's going to pull in all of the policy that use the word program, and again, we're still getting all of the same information. And then if you click on the title, it's going to take you directly to that policy. This is also where you're going to subscribe to receive email updates anytime policy is changed. So if you were already subscribed in the old system, if you were already receiving emails, you are already subscribed, so you do not need to come in here and do that again. We transitioned all of our previous subscribers to this new system, so as Mark already indicated, you may have already gotten an email or two because of the changes we've been making. And so if you were already subscribed in the previous system, you do not have to come in here and resubscribe. But if you were not, you're going to want to come to the timeline and follow page. You're going to type in your email address. You're going to identify if you want to receive daily or weekly emails, and you'll click Save. And then you're going to get an email asking you to verify your email address. You'll click a link in there, and then you're automatically going to be signed up to receive those emails. So anytime a policy is changed, you're going to get an email. And I actually have one of those here so you can see what it looks like. So it's identifying who it's coming from, and it says the following items on Illinois WorkNet WIOA policies have changed. And it's going to have a listing of any of the policies that have changed and a link to go directly to that policy itself. So some of you may have already...
When they get these emails that look like this, will those comments be in this email, or will they need to go to the policy to see what the comment was?
Correct. They'll need to go to the policy to see what the comment was.
Okay, this is just real critical for everyone to ensure that staff are signed in to receive these, that need to get these, because our intent with this, by breaking it down into so many sections and subsections, is for ease of updating policy. And sometimes it might be a simple change. Maybe we get, a clarification of something very minor, and so there's no reason to go through the entire policy development process. So in a quick manner, we can make an update to a particular section or paragraph, and so you might be getting more of these for that particular reason, but the revision denotation will tell you, which version you're on, and also through archives and timeline, which Chelsea will get to the timeline more detail, I guess. You'll be able to find what's most current.
Correct. And then if we do decide that those comments would be helpful within the email, that's something that we can definitely consider adding. That's just the way it's set up right now. And so like Mark said, as you go through and you start using the system and you start getting these emails, your feedback is going to be critical to make sure the system is as user-friendly as it can be. So right now, none of these have comments because these are all, version 1. They've been added to the system. Nothing has been changed or rescinded. So that's why there are no comments here, so I can't show you what it actually would look like. So I just want to reiterate, if you had previously already signed up for these notifications, you do not have to re-sign up. But if you did not get the WIOA policy email notifications previously in the old system, you need to come to the WIOA ePolicy site, click on Menu, click on Timeline and Follow, and then you're going to enter your email address, select Daily or Weekly, and click Save. And we're going to default this to daily, so if you look at this later on today or tomorrow, it might automatically be defaulted to daily already, so you might not have to click that. You'll just put in your email and click Save. So that's the timeline and follow. So this is our way to keep you updated on what's been going on with policy, any changes that have happened, and how you'll be able to manage your subscription to those notifications.
With regard to comments, we had a question on whether those will be highlighted within the actual policy. We have thrown that around, and at this point, our intention is not to do that because we think that might be a lot of work to highlight and then unhighlight areas. But certainly if that's a valuable tool, we will have to take that in consideration and compare it to the amount of time it might take to do that, and just leave it up as a highlighted item for a period of time, or how we want to do that. So if you think that's valuable, go ahead and send us a comment when Chelsea shows you where those should go to, and maybe give us an idea of how you think that should work. We'll consider that.
And just as another note on that, if, for example, a policy is changed from version 1 to version 2, and Mark or Beverly, type in their comment of what changed, when you view the archived version 1, you will be able to see the comment that they entered. So you won't be able to see, it won't be highlighted what changed within the policy content itself, but the comment of what they indicated was changed will be with that version 1. So just for your reference, we will be showing that comment on the previous version page policy, but not the current policy, since it's now version 2. When we come to that, when we do have a version more than version 1 of policy. So the next item in the menu under Timeline and Follow is related materials. So what this page shows is we have 4 different tabs across the top. This is pulling in all of the related materials that have been attached to policy. So any attachments, any forms, instructions, and templates, any notices, and then any resources or references. So this is just a page if you're looking specifically for an attachment or a notice. And if you don't want to go directly to the policy, you can come here and look for it here. So these are all provided. You can go page by page. Again, these columns are sortable. If you want to go in alpha order maybe, I'll click on name. And you can see now I'm going Z to A. And if I click on it again, it's going to go A to Z.
Yeah, go ahead and go that back last view if you would, Chelsea.
What do you mean?
Where it just showed a little bit of the policy itself, the act, I mean. Yeah, I don't know if you, however you sorted the last time. I just want to point something out.
Oh, I clicked on the header here?
Okay. Well, what I wanted to point out is, like you can see to the left there, 29 CFR Part 37. These are large other acts or requirements from DOL or education or some other federal agency. Those we did not break down because we aren't familiar with those. We didn't want to go into them and try and identify a specific area of those acts or laws and get it wrong. What we did do, and I'm hoping if you can get the one that shows where it says, say, 20 CFR 680.140 or something, Chelsea. So there, 20 CFR 667.200. We've done a little bit of the work for you and your staff in the sense of when we referred to this or had this as a reference within one of our policies, we've at least found the section breakdown to that level. Now you'll have to open it up and read within that to find exactly the requirement that might be the most appropriate reference and text that you're looking for. But we tried to do a little bit of the work for you, but we didn't do it all the way for you. But this will hopefully help out when you do have to go looking for additional information from either the act or the final rules. And again, the other acts and rules that apply to the workforce system, we have not broke those down.
Thanks, Mark. So these are all of the materials, like I indicated, that have been uploaded to the system for use in association with policy. So I'm going to just click on attachments again, and once it loads, you'll see that these are all the attachments that are related to policy and the uploaded date. So if you click on this PDF, it's going to automatically download, and you can see down in the bottom, I can now click on it and view this attachment. This would then give me the ability to download it or print it to my computer. And you can do that with any of the items in here. You can go page by page. We will be adding a search to these, each one of these tabs. It's not yet available, but within the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a search up here so you can search specifically by keyword. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you'll be able to use the search and narrow down the pages of results. But as of right now, you'll just have to go page by page to find what you're looking for, or go directly to the policy if you know the policy it's associated with. And so all of these are clickable for download and printing and saving or if it's in regards to a resource or a reference, it's going to take you directly to that website, or you'll just be able to see what we're providing the resource or reference to. And then each one of these columns is clickable. You can see the little arrow here next to it. So name has this little up arrow, which means it's already sorting A to Z. If I click it, it's going to go Z to A. And it's just going to take a minute probably on your page just because there's so many documents in here, in the system in general, I mean. And then you're also able to sort by uploaded date. So this is the date that it was uploaded into this new system. So you can do oldest to newest or newest to oldest. So right now you can see the earliest one we uploaded to the system was all the way back in April. And then I clicked it again, and the last one that was uploaded was in July. So each one of these tabs, each one of these columns is clickable. So always remember that if you need to change the way you're viewing it. So the next page in the menu is the glossary. So this is what we indicated earlier. There is a glossary page. It defaults to showing you everything that's in the glossary. So you can see it's a very long page full of terms. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can click on a specific letter. So as of right now, we actually don't have a way to, print the definition of just one term. So that might be something we need to consider in the future. If anything, you could copy and paste this maybe into a document and then print just that one thing if you only want one term. So across the top, you can see we have the option to select all glossary, which is what we default to. You can select a specific letter, or you can view acronyms only, which shows you all of the acronyms we currently have in the system. The glossary is very straightforward, and there's not a lot to cover. It's exactly how it sounds, a glossary full of definitions and terms. And then the last page in the menu is our user guide. So we've gone ahead and put together a short user guide for you to access anytime or probably most likely towards the beginning once you're getting familiar with this system. So each one of these menu on the left is clickable, and you'll see the second one is using WIOA ePolicy. It has a little PowerPoint associated with it and a little bit of text here on the left, and each one has an associated PowerPoint and some informational text. So this one is Exploring WIOA Policy, which covers pretty much what we've already reviewed in today's webinar. The menu for using policy, the desktop view versus mobile view, and things like that. So this is always accessible from the menu if there's anything that maybe you forgot or you're not sure how to do. And these PowerPoints are also you're able to download them if you click on the little icon in the bottom right. And then the last one is covering staying up to date with WIOA policy, which reviews that timeline and follow, which we've already covered. But if you need to, you can always access it from here, and it'll tell you step-by-step how to subscribe for updates.
Can you go back to the exploring chapter or area and open up the crosswalk?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I mentioned in the opening that we have created a crosswalk to hopefully help you find what existed before and where it's at now. It's in a PDF form, so you can search for a term. If you know how to do that in a PDF, do a Control F. You'll get a screen like Chelsea's doing at the top. Type in your term, and it'll jump you right down to that title section. Some of these titles did change a little bit because we had to make them consistent to a chapter and a section and a subsection level. But I don't think any of them changed it significantly enough that you wouldn't be able to find what you maybe remember from the old policy letters. So this, we think, will be very helpful. On the left-hand side, you find the new chapter and the title under this one, what the effective date is. So you might want to have this one handy at all times and know what's in effect, what date. And these are the effective dates that we issued those policies under, not necessarily those dates we entered them into ePolicy, which is some of the dates that Chelsea showed you. And then on the right-hand side was the old WIA policy number system and notices that are attached to that policy or associated with that policy, I should say. So we think this is a very helpful tool. Remember it in the exploring. We put it there because we think that's all about how to utilize this system the best to its ability.
Thanks, Mark. I completely forgot to point that out, so I'm glad you did. I went ahead and put a link to the user guide in the chat just now, just so you all have access to that directly. And then I did want to just mention that I will most likely put today's recording on this first page just as an overview, and then we'll also put it on the WIOA implementation page, which is what we use for all of our WIOA Wednesday webinars. The last thing I want to cover, I know we're almost out of time, is the search. So up in the header of the menu, you always have the ability to search on any page. So if you're not sure where to even start and you just know you want to look for rapid response, for example, you just click on that little search icon, you get the box, and I typed in rapid response and I clicked enter. And so I'm going to get all results in our system for rapid results. That includes policy, attachments, notices, references, anything that has rapid response we're going to be showing here. Now maybe you want to narrow down your results. Maybe you're looking for an attachment or a notice. On the left side, we have an advanced search menu. So if you click on that, you're going to have the ability to search by type. So maybe I only want policy or I only want attachments. So if I click on attachments, for example, you'll see now we have that right here below our search, and our results are now only pulling in attachments. You have the ability to click the little X next to any of the filters you add, and it's going to go back to all of the results we previously had. You also have the ability to search by a specific chapter or section, by a specific tag, by a specific status, current, expired, or rescinded. Everything in the system right now, though, is current, so expired and rescinded will not provide any results. And then a date range. Maybe you want to look for everything in January of 2016 or 2015, just an example. You'll be able to search by date range. So these are the advanced search options. If you don't want to use them, you don't have to. They're completely optional. They'll just help you narrow down the results that you're getting on the screen. And then maybe once you're done with rapid response, you found what you're looking for. If you want to search for something else or clear that search, this little X right here is going to clear anything I've already searched for, and it's going to pull in everything now. We're getting all the attachments, all the notices, all the policy, because we've now done a blind search. So now you can type in anything else you want and click search. You also have the ability to pull in more items per page. It defaults to 10, so maybe you want to look at 200. You can click that, and your page is going to pull in 200 rather than 10. So now you can see my scroll bar got smaller because we have 200 on our page. And you also have the sort order. You go A to Z, Z to A, newest first, and oldest first. And so again, this search is always accessible through the header on WIOA Works ePolicy. The last thing I didn't mention is if you do have an Illinois WorkNet account, I'm going to go ahead and log into mine, is you have the ability to bookmark policies. So maybe you want to bookmark Chapter 1.2.1 because you need to access it easily in the future. If you go, I'm going to go to Policy Chapters and Sections again, and I'm going to select Chapter 1.2.1 because that's the one I know I need to access very easily next time I'm on here. If you have an Illinois WorkNet account and you click log in, you'll see we now have a third icon next to the download all and the print, and it is our bookmark icon. So I'm going to click that bookmark icon, and if I go to Illinois WorkNet and I logged into my account and I go to my bookmarks, which is accessible from My dashboard, if I can, oh, there it is. I'm going to be able to access that bookmark from here. WIOA policy. So I have two bookmarks right now, and so I can always access that then from Illinois WorkNet from my dashboard. So this is completely optional. You do not have to bookmark anything. I just wanted to point it out for anyone who has an Illinois WorkNet account and uses bookmarks regularly on our system. Once you log into WIOA ePolicy, you'll get that icon for all policy. So if I go to the next one, that same icon is going to be there, and I'll be able to click it to bookmark it for future access. And you'll also notice that the download all icon is no longer showing because we have no downloadable materials related to this policy. So that icon is also all dependent on what there is to download. That's all of the WIOA ePolicy portal. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat. Is there anything else you want to cover, Mark?
Yeah, go back to the table of contents menu and go to the trade chapter. I just want to point out the difference there. For rapid response and trade and special projects, you can see you're going to find in chapter level, section level, oh, go back a minute there. Sorry, Chelsea.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's good there. So like chapter 10, we're going to put special project policy there. Right now we don't really have any. We used to have a few in the past that have expired. So that says pending. That means there's nothing there. If you see that within a chapter at a section or subsection level, we hope we clarified, like there's one that says pending on 8 or 9.1.2 or 9.2. There's nothing there yet. So there's no reason for you to open that up. It's only going to say policy to come. We've identified we need policy there. We don't have it today, so nothing was there to carry over from the old system. But we know we want to put something there when we have the time. As far as the Trade Adjustment Assistance chapter and even somewhat the Rapid Response chapter, there's very little policy we have out there in a policy letter format. So we really had very little to bring over. But all the policy for trade adjustment for assistance is found in notices and other documents. So you can open up the trade chapter, hit the general, and you're going to go to your resources to find out the actual policy related to trade. When we get the opportunity to finalize new trade policy, we will then upload it to here. So if you get confused with a couple of these chapters at the end that have very little information compared to some of the other ones, it's because we really had nothing in a policy letter format to carry over. Please check to see if there's any resources, attachments, what have you, that might provide further guidance. And then finally, with those, again, we want to make sure that you are providing some input to all of this. If you think there's something that we should be doing to make this even more user-friendly, I'm elated at the amount of positive comments I'm seeing in the chat box from everyone that they think it's going to be usable. I'll be honest, I had a little fear that people maybe didn't want to accept change. And so we know it'll be a little difficult at first, but please provide us your comments after you've used it for a while if you see there's some additional changes that need to be made. And if you can show us that slide, Chelsea, where you've got the email address, we'll finalize up today's presentation.
So please, everyone, make sure you download this presentation. It's in the bottom left corner in the Files pod because I've gone ahead and added slides covering everything we reviewed today. So these slides are also on the user guide, which is that URL was in the chat. So these same slides are available there, but you can download it here for access now and in the future. And then the last slide, this is the email that you should contact if you have any issues, comments, feedback. That is checked, throughout the day, every day. And so we'll make sure that anything that is issues related to the site not working as it should is addressed by the Illinois WorkNet team, and anything that might need to go to Mark or Beverly or Lisa gets forwarded on to them. So just feel free to email us at any time, any questions, comments, concerns. And if you do have any issues with the site, if you could let us know the internet browser you're using. For example, if you use IE10 or IE11 or Google Chrome, that usually just helps us better track down the issue because then we can make sure we're using the same browser as you, because believe it or not, they all work differently. So something that works in Firefox might not work in Chrome or IE, as an example.
Yeah, and please make sure you're differentiating when you have a question. If it's a system question with ePolicy, how the system's working, a recommendation you'd like to make, utilize this email. If it's specific to the policy content, go to the contact that is related to that policy issue and send it to that contact. We don't want Illinois WorkNet staff inundated with questions about policy because they won't be answering those, and they'll just be forwarding on to us. So please differentiate if your question's related to the site or if it's related to content, and utilize the appropriate email for that. All right. The last thing, for those of you, we appreciate you joining us. If you have staff that you think need to understand ePolicy and know how to find policy on it, Chelsea will be posting this webinar recording to Illinois WorkNet. You'll be able to go there, or your staff can go there and view it when they have an opportunity. We think it's been very helpful, probably more here than what's only in the user's guide, so you might want to allow them the time to spend an hour going through this webinar and seeing the other comments that were made by individuals that joined us today. So, Chelsea, anything else?
Nope, that's all I can think of. Just get us your feedback.
All right, excellent. Thank you. We are scheduling some webinars in the future, and I do want to make a point that for you, those of you that get notifications from Christy Jones, they've had to schedule a couple of these on days that are not Wednesday. So make sure you're noting that and not coming to this site on a Wednesday thinking all webinars are handled here. We'd like to make them all a WIOA Wednesday webinar, but sometimes presenters aren't available for a Wednesday, and it seemed more logical to provide them on a different day. And I know she's got one or two of those out there, such as for governor's guidelines. The final versions of those, I think, is coming on the 16th, which is not a Wednesday. And so just make note of all the upcoming webinars and make sure you have the correct date so that you don't miss something important. Thank you, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next time.